Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to talk to you about the war in Iran, but on a very specific issue. The question that I really want to ask is who is really in charge of this war? Is this war being run by Donald Trump and his advisors, his confusing group of advisors, whether it's his family members, Jared Kushner, or his friends like Steve Witkoff, or really official figures like Marco Rubio, who is both the national security advisor and the Secretary of State, and J.D. Vance, who is the vice president of the United States. So, are these people who are actually running this war, or is this war being run by uh, Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu? That is the question I do want to ask. So there are some interesting developments in the media here. For example, I want to share this article with you. It says, this is in the Independent. It says that finally Donald Trump has realized that he has been played by Israel. Now, what has happened is that there has been a leak from the White House that in a phone conversation with Donald Trump, uh, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu was trying to encourage Donald Trump or influence Donald Trump or compel Donald Trump to ask the Iranians to rise up and protest in the streets. And he told Donald Trump that, look, we have been bombing all the police stations all over the city. We have been hitting Basij, which is IRGC's internal security affiliate. We have just killed Basij's chief, the head of Basij. And so we are reducing the potential threat. This is Netanyahu's argument that we have demolished all of these people, so it's time for the Iranians to rise and protest. And apparently, Donald Trump did not like that, and he says that if that happens, they will all get mowed down by the Iranian security forces. He feels that thousands of Iranians, if they rise up at his behest, will die and will be killed. And so obviously he fears that he will be blamed for the death of thousands of Iranian protesters. So apparently he was quite offended and shouted. And so people are using this one particular instance to show how there is divergence between Washington and Tel Aviv. But the thing is, the question really is who is running this war? Did Donald Trump really want to go on his war without the huge influence that Netanyahu has on Donald Trump and on the Republican Party? Would the United States genuinely consider that Iran was a threat to the US and then wage this war, which is now costing literally billions of dollars? It's costing over $1 billion a day. In fact, someone was saying that it cost about $100 million to establish one hospital in the United States. And on a daily basis, we are throwing away 10 hospitals worth of money in bombs on Iran. So instead of bombing Iran for one day, we could take the same $1 billion and start 10 hospitals here in the United States. I think it was Adam Schiff, the member of the Congress from California, who was making that point. So there are some interesting issues to talk about. So, for example, there are many articles out there which are now making this point very clear that there was undue influence uh, by Netanyahu on Donald Trump's decision to go into war itself. And the way he is influencing is by providing intelligence and saying, look, we know that on Saturday evening, Ali Khamenei is going to be meeting with all of his leaders in this particular spot. We have intelligence. Let's attack it and decapitate the leadership. And we will then bomb for a week. And after that, there will be huge protests. And within a week, we will have regime change. And we will have installed a king in Tehran who would be basically loyal to Israel. And Donald Trump found that attractive, this assumption that, oh, we can kill all the leadership in one shot. And the fact that he's more and more relying on Israelis and Netanyahu for intelligence and completely ignoring his own intelligence agencies. For example, Tulsi Gabbard, who clearly told him that there was no imminent threat to the United States from Iran. She also made the point that Iran was not pursuing nuclear weapons. And later on, we found that Joe Kent, who resigned as the director, uh, And the director of the National Counterterrorism Center essentially made the point that that the United States had there was no intelligence that there was threat to the U.S. and so it is only under Israel and Israeli lobbies pressure that President Trump decided to go to this war. But what is also interesting is that Donald Trump now wants an off ramp. Donald Trump wants to get off this war. He wants to end it. It is having a devastating impact on the US economy, for example. This is something I want to show a bit later. So, for example, the price of gas has gone up by close to $4 here. It used to be $2.9. So every time we buy a gallon of gas, we're paying $1 more, and it has a huge impact. 49% of Americans find it difficult to afford food. So we are actually experiencing food insecurity among the working and middle classes in the United States, the richest country in the world. We have money to throw to protect Israel or to protect Ukraine, etc., and to kill people abroad. We have killed literally 1,900 people in Iran. A vast majority of them are civilians, including 170 girls at a girls' school. So we have money to throw, but not to invest in our own country, and that is America First foreign policy. So Donald Trump, who claims that his policies are MAGA, America First, he seemed to be more interested in Israeli First policies. That is very clear. Otherwise, this war would not have happened. If he had kept America's priorities and America's interest front and center, America would not be at war with Iran. Clip that. So the next thing that I want to say is, can Donald Trump exercise enough strategic autonomy to get out of Iran, out of this war? He's desperately looking for an off-ramp. He delayed attacks on Iranian energy and Iranian the power plants, etc., by 5 days, and then extended it by another 10 days because he's trying to bring the oil markets down. I was just checking oil prices before we started the show. It's now at 114. Brent crude is at $114. It was $95 just 2 days ago, after Donald Trump said he's not going to attack Iran for 5 more days. So he's desperately trying to bring, and let me also tell you something about the U.S. stock market. The U.S. stock market is down by 8%. It's around 45,000 if you look at the Dow Jones in S&P index, or rather the Dow Jones. Let me just tell you what it is right now. Yes, it is 45,000. It was 50,000 at the beginning of the war, and it has gone down by over 7.5%, 8%. That's a lot of money to lose, and so Donald Trump is losing literally billions and billions of trillions of dollars for the stock market. So he's trying to stabilize the war. He has realized the folly of it, and he's also getting pressured into putting troops on the ground. As of now, he's worried that if he's dragged into a ground troop, even though it is he who is ordering this, otherwise, I don't think Pete Hegseth would be sending 10,000 American troops to the area they're trying to go. They're talking of actually patrolling the Strait of Hormuz to prevent Iran from blocking it, or taking the Karg Island and then trying to negotiate an exchange of choke points, so to speak. So Donald Trump is caught. He never wanted to go. That's what he told us many times during the campaign, that he was not interested in a never-ending war in the Middle East. And now he's stuck there in a position where either he cuts his losses and leaves Iran in charge of the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran literally holding the global economy hostage. And if there is no negotiated settlement, Iran and Israel could be going back. And even if Donald Trump does come up with some negotiations with the Iranians and comes up with a deal, first of all, the US has no credibility. The US signed the JCPOA with Iran and then walked out of it when Donald Trump became president the first time. And Donald Trump had 2 negotiations with this current regime in the past 1 year, and in both occasions, during the course of the negotiations, Israel and America attacked Iran. If I was negotiating on behalf of the Iranians, I would absolutely have just tell Americans upfront, look, you have zero credibility with us. Straight up, that you have zero credibility with us. So how are you going to assure us that whatever promises and agreements you make, you will uphold this? So the incentive has to be very high for Iran to accept such a risky offer, which is basically because once the war stops, one of the issues that is plaguing the US and Israel right now is a shortage of munitions. We are running out of it. It seems the United States fired 800 Tomahawk missiles at Iran. Already they are running out of supply. So if the war stops, the US will replenish itself, so will Israel in a few months, and they will attack Iran again. Because this is what Israel does these days. It's just a warmongering country. It's perpetually at war. Right now, Israel is on war on 4 fronts. Still killing people in Gaza, still killing people in West Bank, still killing people in Iran, still killing people in Lebanon. Thousands of them are civilians. Israel has killed more civilians in the past, in this century, than all terrorist groups combined. So Israel will continue fighting. So what is the guarantee that the United States can give? I don't know what guarantees the Iranians will be willing to accept. But I think the carrot of getting rid of all sanctions might be tempting enough for the Iranians to risk this ceasefire. But let's say the US and Iran do reach an agreement. Will Netanyahu abide by it? Go back and look. Even after the Gaza ceasefire, Netanyahu was unwilling to fulfill his obligations. He continued killing people in Gaza long after the ceasefire was announced, including Donald Trump realized at that time, and we all realize that Donald Trump has zero influence over Netanyahu. On the contrary, Netanyahu has more influence. So Netanyahu starts this war, and it is Netanyahu who will determine whether this war will end or not, and not Donald Trump. If you remember when Israel and the US attacked Pars, the Iranian gas fields which they share with the Qataris. The Qataris call it the North Field. And then the Iranians responded by completely destroying Ras Laffan and causing tremendous damage to the Qataris. They say their setback is about 5 years it will take them to recover from the losses that they suffered in their one attack from Iran. And so then the Qataris put a lot of pressure on the US, and then the US said, look, we didn't do this, we did not know this, only Israel did it. So Israel is not sharing intelligence with the US about its attack. I mean, this is rubbish. The Israelis clearly told everybody in the media that, look, we did it with the US green signal and in collaboration with the US. So basically Donald Trump was lying when he said that we didn't know about the attack, we didn't do it because he didn't realize that the Iranians would hurt the Qataris so badly and the Qataris would be screaming. These poor Arabs, I feel sad for them. So much money, so much resources, but they're so desperate and helpless, caught between these 3 countries. So it is very clear that that there's no way that this American president is able to exercise any influence over Netanyahu. He didn't all this bad planning. So I'm coming back again at 10:30 to talk about how Iran has damaged all of America's military bases across the region, forcing Americans to move into hotels. I want to do an independent show on that. So please come back at 10:30 and we will talk a little bit more about that. So I have 2 more shows that I'm going to do tonight. So my next show is at 10:30 in about 15 minutes after I finish this. So I'm going to be doing this. This will also be in English. And then after that, I'm going to do this show at 11 o'clock my time. That would be 8:30 a.m. India time. This is in Hindi and Urdu. And I'll be talking about how this war is damaging India's economy. It's having a very negative impact. The Indian media is not talking about it. So I'm going to actually show you charts and I'll show you data. So whether you like it or not, accept it or not, the facts, I'll leave it to them. You can reach your own conclusions about it. But nevertheless, it seems to be very clear that this war was started by Donald Trump at the behest, under the influence of Netanyahu. So he did not have the strategic autonomy to start this war, and I don't think he is going to decide. It's either the Iranians or the Israelis who are going to decide when this war ends. And even if the Iranians agree, I think Israel will continue to attack Iran, and Iran will continue to, because what Israel wants now is to completely break Iran. They don't mind if there's chaos there. They don't care if the world's economy goes, because they basically have their fingers in the American treasury. Whenever Israel is out of money, we give them away. Netanyahu Joe Biden rewarded Israel for committing a genocide. On his way out, he gave it $17 billion. An unlimited account of weapons on his way out. And Trump also gave a lot of money as soon as he became president, and now he will just take 20, 30, 40 billion dollars from the American taxpayer and give it to Israel. So Israel is not worried about the economic consequences. It has an unlimited bank account with the United States. But America will suffer, rest of the world is going to suffer. No one is giving them free money. So Israel will continue, and Donald Trump has no influence. Donald Trump is under a lot of pressure. First of all, the way he governs itself makes him impotent. He's not listening to his own intelligence agencies. He's listening to Netanyahu and the Israelis. And the Israelis are manipulating data to get what they want. Israeli policies are not America first. They're Israel first, like America, which is also Israel first. So the question that I really want to pose to you all before I leave is, who is the commander-in-chief of the American forces? Is it Donald Trump or is it Bibi Netanyahu? He seems to start wars that will put American soldiers in the harm's way. Look, we are talking about 10,000 American soldiers going down there to open the Strait of Hormuz. That is where America could unfortunately lose a lot of soldiers. But we do not hear any chatter about the Israelis also contributing troops there. They're busy fighting in Lebanon, in Gaza, in West Bank. They're not going to send troops. There's no talk about the Israeli troops. So why is the US going? Trump keeps saying that the Strait of Hormuz has nothing to do with us. Great. So why are you going to go and secure it? Why are you going to risk American lives to do this? There's going to be only one winner at the end of this war, and that is Israel. It will establish its hegemony over the Middle East, and the Arabs will be slaves of Israel for a long time after this war, regardless of what happens with Iran. Iran may have control on the Strait of Hormuz. Iran may collect money and may recover. Whatever happens with Iran, positive or negative, the Arabs are going to be servants of Israel for a long time after this war ends. So the winner is clearly, beneficiary is Israel. The US is not. Now I leave you with this question. Who is the commander-in-chief of US forces? Who decides that American soldiers will be put in the harm's way? Donald Trump or Netanyahu? Look, when a country is at war, who is the second most important person? For the US, there would be two, the Secretary of State and the National Security Advisor. In this case, they are both the same, Marco Rubio, and Marco Rubio is not front and center. So who is advising Donald Trump on this? Who is the second person? Who's the most important person other than Donald Trump in this war? And that clearly is Netanyahu. He's more important for American decision-making than J.D. Vance, than Marco Rubio. In fact, clowns like the senator from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, seems to be having more influence on Donald Trump than his own Secretary of State or his own Vice President. So don't remember, come back in another 10 minutes and we will be doing another show on what has happened to the US bases. There are some reports in the New York Times which basically says that Iran has damaged all of US bases to such an extent that they are uninhabitable. And that is a phenomenally incredible thing, and that unexpected that Iran was able to do so much damage to 13 U.S. bases. So we'll talk about it. We'll actually go through that particular New York Times article. And the second thing that I will be doing is that's at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, and that would be 8 a.m. India time. And then I'll come back again at 8:30 a.m. India time and 11 p.m. US time to talk in Hindi and Urdu about the impact of this war on Indian economy. It's devastating. I know Indians want to pretend that everything is fine, nothing is happening, but I'm going to show you data about the stock market, about investments, about the rupee, about pricing, supply, and basically show you how, while the bombs may be falling in Iran, the damage is happening to the Indian economy. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share this video with your socio-political network. Until next time, that is in 10 minutes, I'm your host, Muqtada Khan. Take care.